Hi Ajay, how are you? Welcome to Let's Talk Vitiligo, where we talk about living with vitiligo, people who are doing this very, very well. And welcome aboard into this very particular podcast where we will talk about you, your journey with vitiligo, and let's hope people see, watch it, and get inspired somewhere. So, first and foremost, how are you?
Hello, Shruti. I'm doing very good. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well. Thank you so much for coming
Great,
here.
great. Thank you.
Should
Thank you for
we?
this opportunity.
Yeah, lovely. Should we head straight towards our very first question?
Absolutely excited.
Okay. So the very first question that I'm gonna shoot upon you is, how did you spotted it like your very first spot? When did you spot it like the first patch of vitiligo?
Okay, so Shruti, I think it was in the year 2020, 2001 actually. I was 7 years old, and
Mm-hmm.
that makes all the audience guess my age now. Okay, so I was 7 years old, and so I got my first spot nearby my eye, I think left eye, and so at that time my mother was going through undergoing through a treatment. So she had a kidney ailment, and she got her kidney transplant at that time. So all my family members were focusing on her. So I have a very small family, me and my parents, and I had my parents, and I'm the only child, I have no sibling. So my grandmom, all the relatives, I still remember my mother was in hospital when we first discovered it. So all the attention was on her, obviously. But so we couldn't understand actually at that time. So what happened? Because I was a very healthy child with no medical history, with a proper diet, the proper routine, all fit. But suddenly this happened, and we discovered it. We tried some home remedies initially, but it didn't work out, and it actually it spread it gradually, and yeah. So that was the time we discovered the very
Okay.
first. Yeah.
Okay. And like, how was your family's reaction when they got to know this is something that's going on?
Yeah, as I mentioned, we couldn't understand it properly initially, but when it was spreading at that time, so we went to one of the very popular dermatologists. So I belong to Chandigarh, so we
Mm-hmm.
living in a tier one city at that time. So I was fortunate enough to go to a very renowned dermatologist, and we started with the allopathy treatment. And so it was quite weird, applying so many medicines on your body, eating so
Yeah.
many medicines before your meal, after your meal. I used to take some medicines to my school. Used to eat it, in a very secluded area so that nobody looks at me and I'm having something.
Mm.
And yeah, so but it didn't really work out. And we when we consulted that doctor, saying that we cannot see any significant effects after so many months or weeks. So she basically said that that this is a growing age and of a
Mm.
child. I actually she said that she couldn't give heavy drugs or heavy
Mm-hmm.
medicines, otherwise it can become an obstacle um, uh, in my growth.
Right.
So we kept our patience. Uh, we regularly and did that medicine in a very disciplinary way, but couldn't see any effect. So I stopped that treatment. And
Mm-hmm.
then once when you meet somebody in public, so everybody has their own words that, like,
Right.
try this, try that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And being something new in our own family, in our community, nobody actually knew. And there was no internet at that time. There was no proper knowledge. Even today also,
Right.
there is
Hmm.
proper knowledge. There is no authority who actually guide everybody or patients and their families
Mm-hmm.
that what should be the correct step. So yeah, this has been my journey. And after that, I've done so many treatments in various fields of science, homopathy, then Ayurvedic, some home remedies as well. and many doctors, advised me to, stop eating so many things, like, so,
Mm.
as one of the doctor, so I was, I think, 8 or 9 years old. One of the homeopathic doctor, he told me to stop eating salt. So it was quite, funny. Salt is in everything what we eat. So he said stop eating white things, which are white in nature, milk, radish, anything, and stop eating salt. It was quite funny. I did
Yeah.
that actually. Just imagine a child doing those things at that time. I did that,
Mm.
despite those spicy and chips and all that was my favorite. I stopped eating that, but couldn't really get any benefit at that
Yeah.
time.
Hmm. And like, does this impacted the visual difference on your face? Of course, you can see, right, in your appearance that there's two color basically. Everyone who has vitiligo can very definitely understand that you visually seem different. So, like, what was like your reaction during your teen years? What was the reaction of your friends, your school, when you were growing up, of course? So, how was that?
So basically, Shruti, I think, like I said, I having, vitiligo was just a part of who I was, and I was actually fortunate to have a very positive experience in people around me, like the
Mm-hmm.
people in my life, including my family, my friends, my classmates at that time, were incredibly supportive and understanding, and nobody actually ever made me feel like I was any different or because of any condition. Yes, you yourself, like you said, you yourself noticed in mirror, and you can see that difference, and
Yeah.
it makes you feel odd. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
it makes you feel less confident,
Mm-hmm.
but but people never made me feel like that. In fact, in my childhood was filled a lot of love,
Mm-hmm.
acceptance, and encouragement. And my parents also, always emphasized the importance of self acceptance and self confidence, which actually helped me, embrace my unique skin condition without any hesitation. And
Mm-hmm.
they also taught me, what truly matters is, who we are on the inside and not our external appearance. And my friends were amazing, because
Mm.
they never treated me any differently because of this, because of my vitiligo. And we had countless memorable adventures together, but I never felt excluded or singled out
Mm.
because of my skin condition. And I think that's a testament to the kindness and inclusivity of the people I was surrounded by during
Mm.
my formative years. So, yeah, so I think that childhood, I was fortunate that I lived in a tier 1 city. I went to a good school,
Mm.
um, uh, but today also I meet so many people, who face a lot of you can say hate in their own
Mm.
family because
Right.
of this. Yeah, so it makes me feel sad, and it's just that, we have to fix our mind, not our skin, first of all, and people's mind, and skin color is very well visible externally, but that narrow thinking is not
Yeah.
visible, unfortunately. But So talking about me, I think my experience in my childhood has shaped me into you can say more compassionate and understanding individual. So
Mm.
it has basically taught me the value of, embracing our differences, your body color, body shape, and actually, we should celebrate this uniqueness in each of us. So yeah,
Right.
I'm quite grateful for the positive impact it had on my life and the wonderful people who made it such a positive experience.
Lovely. I really like the that line that you said, no? The skin color is very visible, but you have to shape or treat your brain basically, the narrow thinking. That's really amazing. Speaking of that, like I am sure you must have taken a lot of treatments. Would you like to talk about what kind of treatments have you taken and what was the impact?
Hmm. Yeah, I'm now recalling all those weird things I've done. So my parents were well educated, but obviously, they did those things, maybe because they thought that was right at that time for their own
Hmm.
child. So yeah, as I mentioned, I started with allopathy,
Hmm.
but the doctor said, that it can be an hindrance in the growth. Then we stopped it. Then we switched to homeopathic.
Hmm.
Homeopathic medicine was easy. However, there were so many restrictions, and yeah. So I still remember. So when I started homeopathy, it actually started spreading
Yeah,
throughout the
yeah.
body.
Hmm.
And so went to the doctor and saying that, hey, it's instead of reducing, it is getting increased. So he
Hmm.
said no. So this medicine will fetch all that disease and all that thing out of your body first, and then it will reverse effect. It will do
Yeah.
the reverse. So it was, I think that statement was crazy. I don't, I mean, uh, uh, maybe at that time we trusted the experienced person, doctor, but it made me feel really bad, and I stopped it immediately. Then in India at that time, you must all have heard, yoga guru Swami Ramdev was, he was getting popular at that time. So
Yeah.
we all started, uh, listening to him. I started his medicine as well. Started doing yoga, very less, but yeah, I started doing yoga. But and also, I'm talking about yoga, so I want to, just highlight when I started taking medicines, it actually had some side effects on my body as well. I suddenly gained weight. I was very
Hmm.
slim and fit child, but became quite fat, and there was some medicines in which I had to apply on my skin, and I used to, stand in the direct sunlight
Yeah.
during extensive summers in India. So I got tanned, and all that. So I was a fair child, but I got tanned. You can see, but yeah, there was so many things. Then Ayurvedic, somebody told, eat this, eat that, some seeds,
Hmm.
and then but nothing actually worked out for me, to be honest. I
Hmm.
did it religiously, whatever I could, but I
Hmm.
did. It actually nothing worked out for me. Somebody suggested that applying fresh urine of a cow can
Cow.
actually can benefit you. I even did that. Just imagine. But yeah, but nothing worked out. Yeah, all I could go through some psychological torture and the suffering, basically. Not the
Hmm.
torture, I would say, yeah, suffering, that I'm doing this, but it is giving me no result. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I can completely relate with that. Uh, extremely. I guess all of us who has been through in the 90s kid who had vitiligo, everything that you just told now, we all have been through that. Cow urine and standing on the extensive sun just to make sure do not eat white or anything as such.
Yes,
But eventually, after like since we got in our senses, we got to know that nothing as such is actually impacting the vitiligo.
true.
It
I,
was just a hoax.
exactly. I wish Google existed at that
Yeah,
era,
yeah, yeah.
and at least we could have Googled it.
Immensely helped.
Does it really work? But
Yeah.
all the influencers like you, Shruti, I really want to give you a round of applause for the way you are
No, no,
spreading
I'm
correct
just a
information.
voice.
Yeah, correct information in so many areas. So that's the need of the hour. However, there
Yeah.
are so many people out there, but you should actually listen to somebody who you think is correct and is on the right path to
Yeah, yeah.
get.
We just need to start talking about it to make it more
Yeah,
normal. Yeah.
right. Absolutely,
Speaking of that,
absolutely.
like being a female, being a girl, born and brought up in a middle class family, and with vitiligo, the very first concern was who will get married to you, who will date you, or something like that. Although that doesn't have impacted, I'm very, upfrontly
You've been
admitting
very
that. Yeah,
lucky.
but it has been a taboo because I get to talk with a lot of females across in India, US, everywhere. And the very first concern of those females as well, because of course that has been indulged by their parents, the society, and everything. It's like, who will get married to you now that you have these patches very visible? What it like for you as a male? What was your dating life, relationship life, and what would you say to people out there, male, female, anyone?
I mean, uh, yeah, heard a lot. So there will be a very big issue when there will be when you'll get married. I heard a lot, especially for females. I think it is more severe. But to be honest, I just want to say one thing to all my audience. When if you are doing good in other areas of your life, like if you are balanced mentally, if you are doing good in your studies, in your career, taking care of your body, taking care of your parents, have a good social life. I think it doesn't really matter, to be honest. And
Hmm.
so talking about me, so at a certain age, when I was going through all those treatments and it was new to us, yes, I felt underconfident. But at one time, an age came, when I entered in my teenage, I accepted it really gracefully. And I think it never really affected my confidence. I gained it back. And I used to, I used to feel underconfident, taking part in any stage performances. I was very keen, and I was very interested in dance, and I was very interested in sports or dance. So however, I restricted myself initially, but I started taking part in it. And to be honest, I did great. I got so many prizes. I got so many appreciations. I stood first in one of the competition, in dance competition. So when I did that, when I broke that barrier, I think it worked out for me.
Hmm.
Then I understood that it's all inside you. That
Hmm.
confidence is just inside you. Once you uh, gain it, once you just embrace yourself and accept it, you can really do wonders. And talking about the dating life, just to be precise to your question, to be honest, I've been so lucky in that area. Unfortunately, I've just got two relationships before this, and unfortunately it didn't work out. But my partners were really beautiful, and I've got really good looking partners, and so many friends out there, and never had any issues in interacting with opposite gender, or going out with them. And so yeah, nothing. I think uh, there's no limitations in these things. And like as I mentioned, it should be inside you. If you're good at
Hmm.
heart, or doing good in other areas, nothing can actually stop you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The line you said, "Na, the barrier is within us." That's really insightful. Actually, the barrier is actually within us. So we need to
Yeah.
take that plunge. And the last and the very least question is, I would like you to like go out and give advice to people with vitiligo. Also, in our community, there are a lot of parents of boys and girls who are teens or maybe very budding, kids who have vitiligo. So what advice would you like to give out to those parents or those budding teenagers who has, a condition like vitiligo?
uh okay, so all the teenagers and especially parents, parents needs to be more understanding. Don't pressurize your children or child, for a treatment. Don't pressurize them. It's not something which should be your main topic on the table every day.
Mm-hmm.
That's something, you can talk about other things to them. Yes, obviously you can try for the treatment, however, but the first thing is the acceptance.
Yeah.
once you accept it, it should not be a barrier. Like every day you're discussing, oh, we have got this, what we will do now, oh, it will affect your studies, it will affect your life. No, it's not going to affect at all. It is not
Hmm.
a severe disease, it's not it's not a hindrance in your mental ability, it's not any hindrance in your physical ability. You can be great at sports, you can be
Hmm.
great in any art form, in your studies as well. I'm doing great in my life. I've been a good student. I've done my engineering really well, and I'm working. It's almost been more than 8 years now. I've been working, reputed companies, international companies, and so it has never stopped me. And I've worked throughout India, in many cities, in many regions, and
Hmm.
I've never really felt an outsider, right,
Right.
for my skin condition. So and when you have talent, when you have those skills within you, I think these things are overlooked. And
Hmm.
so yeah, to all the parents out there, just focus on the strengths, right?
Hmm.
And definitely this is not a weakness, but focus on the strengths, and we
Right.
can try for the treatment. However, if
Hmm.
it doesn't work out, then it's okay. I mean, maybe God has given you something extra, right?
Right.
Like for example, I just want to give an example. Like, for if a child comes to father, right? So there was an instance that child, one boy is, telling his father that I want to buy a kite.
Hmm.
And so that father says that, okay, let me buy you a kite, you'll fly. So the boy says, I want to buy that red kite.
Hmm.
Red will actually fly higher, I think. So
Hmm.
father actually explains this child that no, it's not about the color of the kite, it's
Color.
about how you will
Yeah.
use
Yeah.
your tactics to make it fly.
Hmm.
So it never depends on the color, how up you will go in life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's all about the acceptance. Uh, uh, and also it gives you a boost, like, hey, if somebody's actually making me feel low about this, let me prove it to them. I'll excel
Hmm.
in the that area. It's
Hmm.
kind of a boost, external
Hmm.
boost, which you need in
Yeah.
life sometimes. So yeah, that's what I want to pass. That's
That's
the
really
message I want.
lovely, actually. The story was really, really lovely. Thank you so much, Ajay. Thank you so much for your time, actually. Thank you so much for being here, telling your story, narrating your journey. I hope a lot of people will get to see, understand, and eventually take that first step, actually, to go out and maybe just accept that they have vitiligo and they do not need to hide it. I think that's when our job is actually done.
Yeah, correct. Correct.
Yeah.
And even if one person, takes the inspiration from me, I've actually felt guilty, you can say, in all those years. It's almost been more than 20 years. I've never really done my bit in spreading any information in my community, because I am not, really active on social media. But however, I've tried to explain it to people who have, asked me questions.
Right.
But thanks to you, Shruti. I discovered you on social media, and we, got in touch last year.
Yeah.
And thanks to you for giving this opportunity. Maybe my words can heal somebody. Maybe
Yeah,
my
I'm
words
very
can
sure.
inspire somebody. Thank you so much for this opportunity. It feels great. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.